Bonjour class. Today we're going to be talking about indirect object pronouns. Remember, you can pause and rewind this video. To find an indirect object, we ask ourselves the question, to whom? So an indirect object is always a person, and it's introduced by the preposition a. So if there's a noun object that is introduced with a, and it is a person, then both a and the person are replaced by the appropriate indirect object pronoun, and we're going to refer to these as IOPs. And we should remember that there are contractions with a, so our indirect object might be introduced by one of these contractions. So let's take a look at some examples. Tu parles à Claire? Oui, je lui parle. Tu téléphones à Christophe? Non, je ne lui téléphone pas. Tu écris à tes cousins? Oui, je leur écris. Tu rends visite à tes voisins? Non, je ne leur rends pas visite. So, we can replace an indirect object noun with an IOP. I talk to Bob becomes I talk to him. Loic responds to his parents becomes Loic responds to them. Here are the IOPs in French. You'll notice that the m to nous and vous are the same as the DOPs, but it's for lui and leur, those are the ones that are different. If you want to say to him or her, no matter what the gender is, if it's a plus one person, we replace that with lui. If it's a plus more than one person, meaning to them, we use leur. So let's practice. I'd like you to pause the video and choose the correct IOP. So remember, no matter if it's a boy or a girl, we choose lui, and if it's plural, we choose leur. So notice that the IOP is always placed before the verb, and this is the same as we learned with DOPs. So elle parle au touriste becomes elle leur parle. Remember, we replace both the a, or in this case the a contraction, and the noun with leur. Whereas in English, she speaks to tourists, she speaks to them, we actually keep the to. So I'd like you to pause this video again and rewrite the sentences using an IOP. Here are the answers. Tu me parles, Marie te répond, je lui rends visite, et ils leur écrivent. Just like with DOPs, when we want to make sentences with IOPs negative, we put the IOP between the ne and the verb. So we have the sentence, je ne lui réponds pas, and je ne leur téléphone pas. Also, just like with DOPs, if we have more than one verb, the IOP is placed before the infinitive. Je vais lui donner une pomme for the near future, and for expressing likes and dislikes, il n'aime pas leur parler. With affirmative commands, it's the same. Donne-moi le stylo. Achetez-lui un cadeau. So remember, the me changes to moi, and we place the IOP after the verb with a hyphen. And again, it's the same. If it's negative, ne me donne pas le stylo, ne lui achetez pas un cadeau. It goes before the verb, and it goes back to moi if you change it to me. Here are some common verbs with IOPs. I would suggest that you pause the video to keep note of these. Notice that they all have a, and some of them have ... dots, meaning that you might buy something or read something. And we will take a look at what happens with these verbs when you have both a DOP and an IOP later. Fin. Remember, you can rewatch this video and please ask me if you have any questions.